Hello, people of the world! I'm here to share with you geography. If you watch this tutorial about 5 times or possibly less, you will probably know all of the countries in Europe and Asia and a few more. So the story is meant to be like a key. We begin the journey with Leela in the United Kingdom, also called Great Britain, England at one point. It's to the left of the main continent of Europe. She's looking out at the moon. Peter Pan says, "Come to Neverland." She follows Peter Pan across the North Sea to the Netherlands. It's not Neverland, it's the Netherlands. So she's walking around. This isn't Neverland. And she sees tulips and she sees windmills and it's all green. And suddenly a beautiful fairy appears. She said, "I must be in Ireland." Poof, she's in Ireland to the left of the United Kingdom. To the north of England is Scotland, and then Northern Ireland is officially a part of the United Kingdom. Ireland is its own country, and Wales also has its own zone. So she spends a few days in Ireland. Leela gets tired of the rain, and she says, "I want the sun." So she goes straight south. She ends up in Portugal, where the ports were and the ships would come and go. It's near the entrance of the Mediterranean. So she's walking on the cobbled streets of Portugal and she trips and she sprains her ankle. It's Portugal, Spain. Why? She sprained her ankle because she was wearing fancy France, Italian boots, Italy. So right there in that triangle, you can see it goes Spain, France, and to the right of France is Italy. So Leela wanted to switch her shoes. Switzerland. It's right there in the Alps. So she switches her boots for German practical Birkenstocks. In Germany, those are these 4 main countries that make the big part of Western Europe. So in Germany, she gets very hungry. She's been traveling a lot. She turns into a Pac-Man. The reason she turns into a Pac-Man is because Germany is shaped kind of like a Pac-Man, so we can remember it that way. And she starts to want to eat breakfast foods.
So she's going to eat Czechs. The Czech Republic, Czechia, slowly. Slovakia.
Because she is awfully hungry.
Austria, Hungary.
So this is a quad of countries. The Czech Republic, Slovakia, Austria, and Hungary. Okay? Awfully hungry. Austria, Hungary. Czechoslovakia, Austria, Hungary. And behind her, she leaves Belgian waffles from Belgium and Lucky Charms for Luxembourg. Okay? So she travels north because she wants to take a nap and she sees a den that she wants to mark. Denmark. But as Leela approaches Scandinavia,
Norway said, no way, Norway. We're too sweet up here, Sweden. And so you're finished. And that's Finland, where Finn is end in Latin. So the Finn land. Another way to remember these Nordic countries is no soup for Russia. So Russia is right on the border of Finland right there.
Rejected by the Nordic countries, Leela turned to east and decided to poke Poland.
So we want to think of the pole. With the pole, they're pushing a pole across the continent into a walrus to provoke it, Belarus. So we're going to click on Poland. That Poland poking into Belarus, we're thinking Belarus is a beautiful walrus. Bella, beautiful walrus. Belarus.
A walrus that's resting. It was not rushing. Russia, next to Belarus. Big country, obviously.
So that walrus is live. So it's a thin walrus. Live means thin, slender. And it's on a ladder. Latvia. And is holding a stone in its hand and it's reaching toward Finland because it wants to throw the stone at a fish that on its fin. Okay. So we can remember that Estonia and Finland are right across from each other.
Stone, Estonia.
Now that walrus is crying and those tears are rain, Ukraine. So they're like the tears you cry. The walrus is crying. Ukraine is crying right now. And that is such a huge country. You can see it there. And they're crying tears that are they're old. And so they're becoming moldy. Moldova is that small country right below the Ukraine. You can also think of Moldavites. Some of you might know the stone Moldavite. Romania, there's a guy that those tears are falling on, and he's a manic guy, but he's romantic. His name is Romania. All right. So that name for this country is left over from when the Roman Empire invaded. And this Roman guy, is really hungry, and he really wants a bulging, greasy turkey. Okay. So that's Bulgaria, Greece, and Turkey.
Bulging, greasy turkey. Oh, bulging, greasy turkey. Whoa.
That are all bordering each other here. And the Black Sea is in the middle of all of those countries. And so we're going to imagine that this bulging, greasy turkey is turning black. Okay. Now this region right here, the Balkans, is known as the powder keg of Europe because there's a lot of different ethnic groups, and over time there's been a lot of conflict. World War I was started in 1914 in Serbia due to a murder of Archduke Ferdinand.
To really log it in your mind, we're going to imagine that Lily and Romania were hungry because that's next to Romania to the left, and they were eating slowly, very slowly. Why? Because they had Slovakia above them, and they had Slovenia to the left or to the west of them, okay?
So we are going to think about a crow flying out of Italy, a black crow. So the Slovenia, crow, Croatia,
gave her a message about her love life. She was to be her boss, instead of a she boss, I'm going to say a her boss.
Bosnia, Herzegovina.
And that she should not be in servitude or subservient. We're going to say that for Serbia. That's next to Bosnia, Serbia. And that she needed to be like a mountain, Montenegro, like a black mountain.
To the south, there's a guy that's the bane of her existence called Albania. And he wants to be close to her, Kosovo, but she does not like that. So she wants to get some mace to put on him. North Macedonia.
So that's a way to remember where all those small countries are. And also we can remember Al became greasy. Greece is to the south of Albania. So again, we have the bulging, greasy turkey.
There's a girl that likes this romantic guy, and her name is Georgia. And she's directly looking at him from across the Black Sea. So we're going to click on her, and she's trying to impress him. So she's trying to get really strong arms, Armenia, but she's working them out so hard that they're turning blue. Azerbaijan. And I'm saying Azure, this is one of the harder countries to remember the word for. So I'm using blue for Azure. Well, some of you will know in Spanish is blue, Azure, Azerbaijan. Just say it really fast so no one will know that you're getting it wrong. Bajan is also a song in India. So you can think she's singing a blue song as well. And this is the Caspian Sea. That's kind of a magical name, Caspian Sea. Mediterranean here. We're going to go back to Turkey, this very large country. And below it, we're going to imagine that this bulging, greasy turkey, say it with me, bulging, greasy turkey, got seared. Oh, yes. It's just getting more and more cooked until it cooks into a ball, like a rock. You guessed it, that is Iraq. So Syria is bordering Iraq. And we're going to imagine that turkey that's seared is banned. Leban. It's like a French ban in Lebanon, Palestine here that I just clicked. And Israel is a very small state right here, right? It's right bordering on Egypt. So you might remember the story of Moses and the Jewish people coming out of Egypt back into Israel. And yes, Egypt and Israel border each other. On the other side of Israel, we have Jordan. So you can remember the Jordan River. Michael Jordan is the famous basketball player. We're going to think of Jordan as Michael Jordan, who's throwing a basketball that is that rock of blackened turkey towards Iran. And Iran is running away. Okay. So Iraq and Iran are bordering each other, and Jordan is shooting that rock downwards towards Saudi Arabia. We're going to think of that rock now as a magical thing. And when Saudi Arabia takes that rock, I saw its aura. I saw its aura as a Saudi Arabia. So you can remember I saw aura. Saudi Arabia is below Iraq. Okay. And it was so magical. That's the place, Arabian Nights and the genie in the bottle. And I said, yeah, man, Yemen. And then I saw what was going on in Yemen. There's lots of poverty. There's lots of civil war right now, etc. And so I went, oh man, next to Yemen, Oman, on the southern border of Saudi Arabia. Then I had to go to the UAE to recover, United Arab Emirates. And I got Q&A, Qatar, got Q&A there about what I was doing in Saudi Arabia and Bahrain here. And so that rock, the Iraq, was rolling down towards the ocean, towards I think it's the Arabian Sea. And the rock said, wait, Kuwait, don't drop in the ocean quite yet. So we're going to go north back up to Iraq and Iran, below the Caspian Sea. And we're going to use the concept of Iran running to remember what countries are bordering Iran, because this is a difficult area to memorize. It ran from Georgia with the blue arms, Azerbaijan, though only her blue arms touched it. So Iran is placed next to the rock, right? Running from the rock, right below the Caspian Sea. Above it, the Turkey men are standing. Turkmenistan is a different country from Turkey, which is over here. And the Turkey men were standing, though. The Turkey men were standing, and they said, we're going to make a stand. And so these are the stands. Stand means land of in ancient Persian. So the Turkey men, I stand, coming toward Iran. Iran was running away because that Turkey was oozing oil. It was oozing oil. Uzbekistan. We're going to imagine men with turkey feathers. They're standing, and out of their fingers are oozing oil. Above Turkmenistan is Uzbekistan, and they're standing on a blanket of Afghanistan. They're also bordering Afghanistan. Okay? And they're reaching upwards to tag their cousin Zach, who's taking a stand. If you know anyone named Zach, you can think of Zach taking a stand here, Kazakhstan.
Cousin Zach
stood up and said,
it's a curse.
I'm not going to take this
anymore.
This greasy turkey seems like a curse. So we're going to go down to Kyrgyzstan. Woo, that is hard to say. I'm just trying to give you like the first couple letters. These ones are kind of hard to come up with the word pictures for. And so that turkey was oozing, and below Kyrgyzstan there is tag, Tajikistan. And that tag was wiping that oil onto a blanket, an Afghan blanket. Some of you might know Afghans are made by people. Afghanistan was tagged with that oil, and it was being packed down. Pakistan.
Afghanistan blanket packed down tight.
The blanket was on top of a backpack. And Iran was running away from that backpack and also the blanket that had the oil on it. India is a young girl that was wearing that backpack, Pakistan, and she had a friend, and that friend was Nepal. It was a horse, okay, Nepal, up here in its northeastern territory, Nepal, where the Himalayas are, right? And we're going to think of India as that young girl having her horse friend, and what she loved was it had a tan booty. The horse had a tan booty, Bhutan, and the leg of that horse was coming down to Bangladesh, because it was hungry. Okay. Sri Lanka is down here. That is Sri Lanka. Now, when Leela saw the Teardrop Island, she missed her mother. Mother, I wish you could come and travel with me. Her mother came to travel with her, and they met up in the right upper side of India, where it's cold in the Himalayas, near Tibet. So up here, right bordering it, is Burma. It's not called Burma anymore. It's actually called Myanmar. Myanmar. So me and my ma, her and her ma, Myanmar, met up there, Burma, in the cold, right? And so they looked to their east. They decided to travel over Laos,
land. Mom said the countries over there fit like Legos. Laos, Legos, land. Beautiful Laos. They wanted to get to warm Southeast Asia. That's Southeast Asia. They went to Thailand, south, for delicious Thai food. And then they continued to want to buy a camera, Cambodia, because they wanted to photograph Vietnam. Of course, people remember the Vietnam War in the US, 1965 to 1975. And China is a very large country, a lot of desert up here. After all of that travel, Lily and her mom wanted to lay down and look at Asia. Ma wanted to lay and look at Asia. So the Ma laid in Asia, Malaysia, just south of Thailand. And so she started to turn around, looked out. Lila was hungry. She looked at the Philippines. She wanted to be filled up. Philippines, island chain. She wanted to be filled up with the Philippines, but it didn't work. So she went down to Indonesia and she fell on her knees because it was so beautiful in Indonesia, how huge that country is. By this point, Papa came to visit me and my ma in Papua New Guinea, and East Timor is here, little island country. And Lila's Papa was in Australia, down under. So he was visiting that huge continent of Australia. And New Zealand is just an independent island country that was a British colony, of course, to the southeast of Australia. And there's some other exciting islands over there that you can see. We have Taiwan, obviously a disputed territory with the Chinese when the communists won the civil war in China after World War II. The ones that did not win, kind of the capitalists, went to Taiwan and established a nation there that is now something that China really wants. Hong Kong is here, which was given back from Britain to China in an agreement that they had. So up here off of the north part of China, we have a little posse here, and they're very cozy. That's the Korea, South Korea, and Japan. Most people are going to recognize Japan, so I didn't feel like we needed to make a word picture for it. But North Korea and South Korea are cozy with Japan. Look how close they are. And then we have Mongolia. Mongolia, we can think of a goal, that China has a goal on top of it. We can think of that it's like a Goliath. Mongolia is a very large country on top of China. So we're going to click that. So we can see when we're looking at this region in Asia, how huge Kazakhstan and Mongolia really are. And obviously, of course, we can just see how big Russia is. But of course, much of that is not usable probably. Wow, I think we did it. That was not that hard, huh? I think you all at home can memorize this map. I am going to be making another video of the Americas and Africa at some point, especially if you subscribe and leave a comment. Tell me how it is memorizing this and if this technique is working for you. This is a combination of a few points I've picked up from other people teaching geography, as well as mostly my own word pictures that I came up with to memorize this myself, because as I said, I did not really know this geography. So it's really special to share this. And I feel that when we know what these countries are, it just gives us such a better frame of reference to be able to understand politics, history, and current events, environmental problems, all of the beautiful and challenging things that make up our
Peter Pan flew from England's shore to Never Never Netherlands' door, down to Portugal's ancient ports, where Italian boots of fancy swords got switched in Switzerland one day, made her sprain her ankles. From Spain to France to Germany, these three make Western history, like a Pac-Man eating breakfast food through Europe's neighborhood. Check the Czech Republic quick, Slovakia's making Germans sick, Austria's hungry, can you see? Belgium classic twist. Bulging greasy Turkey black. Syria, Iraq, Iran runs back. Saudi saw your aura shine. Yemen, down the line. Oman, UAE, Qatar too. Kuwait calling out to you. Georgia's double strong arms blue. Azerbaijan singing true. Turkmenistan takes us back as a desert land. Keys, Kurds and Tajik. Afghanistan, soil Iraq. Pakistan packed on tight. To India shining bright. Nepal's horse with tan boot style. Bhutan bouncing all the while. Bangladesh banging dishes clean. While Myanmar's mom once burned my scene. Laos land, Thailand's door. Cambodia's camera once more. Vietnam stories to explore. In Malaysia, laid to rest. Philippines couldn't fill her best. Indonesia on her knees. Papua New Guinea in the breeze. Australia down below. New Zealand's island route. Finally clear north and south. Japan's islands in the mouth. Mongolia's go up high. Taiwan shines eye. Hong Kong's harbor light. Cyprus, Cyclops sight. From seas of black to Caspian blue. Mediterranean